Okay, we're going to see if this Tyvek is waterproof or not. And see, here's that little string stuff I was telling you about. You can get it at Home Depot right as you walk out at the lumber area. And all Home Depots have that. If you don't see it, ask somebody about it. I've got just a square piece of that. And I'm curious myself if this is going to work. And we're going to keep it overnight. I've dried the inside. I've dried the inside and made sure that there's no water in there at all. I'm just going to tie this. Right here. And I can untie it tomorrow. This stuff, you can untie it. It takes a little bit of effort, but I did. Okay, see? Got it on there. And I'm just going to pour some water on here. I thought I heard it dripping already, but I'm not sure. See, it looks like it's holding it because this material is so put together, so tight, but yet it's enough to let air through there, but not enough to let water through there, like if you have it on your wall. Okay, well, we're gonna try that just on the floor. And my thought is, if it holds overnight, then chances are, if I got it on the floor, and if I have a little bit of water setting in one little area, let's say, it'll probably dry out. Or it's not going to, some of that would dry out on the floor prior to it all leaking through. And my only concern was over in this area, and mind you, if it does leak through, hey, no problem. It's just down on the floor. It's just like not having it at all. But at least the rest of the floor would be protected. No standing water on this entire floor except right over in here. So when it rains, water's going to hit here, and it's sloping down, and it's going to go out of these weep holes right along that flashing. And I've got this angled such to where when the water hits here, it's going to go out that way, and then over here it's going to go like that. You know, these sides, even though this flashing, I put holes in it, really not much water is going to set there except anything that is within a couple inches of that, because this floor is floated from here this way. So if anything gets up in here, the water's going to come this way and out. So there's really hardly any water going to go out of that. Plus the same thing here, because that flashing is up on top of here. Any water right here is going this direction, and it's going this direction. And when it hits this corner, so that's it. It's only been a couple seconds here, a couple minutes. You see this water, it's just there on top, isn't it? I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to leave it here overnight. Okay, this is just my own little test on this, because they don't call it, you know, there's a question on their website, is it waterproof or whatever, and they go on to say how you're only supposed to install it on walls, you're not supposed to install it on the floor, and they called it water resistant, See here it is. Right here. A durable air and water barrier for residential applications. Membrane. Okay, that's in different language. A durable air and water barrier for residential applications. Water barrier. Water barrier is different than waterproof. Water barrier meaning if this is on the wall, you could spray this with water, you could hit it with water, and the water molecules are bigger than the little slight penetrations on here that makes this material breathe. And see, you can't really rip this. It's tight. That's why I thought it would work pretty good for an air barrier on the floor, as well as a little bit of the angle where the water hits, boop, 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 boop. As the water's traveling, it's not going to go it's not going to penetrate this unless the water sits there for days on end, I think. Because see, it's just sitting there, isn't it? And I'm going to be very curious tomorrow morning how much water is left here, and we'll pull it up and we'll see if there's any moisture inside this bucket. Now if there's not, that doesn't necessarily mean that there never will be. That it just means that if we were to leave this on here maybe 3 or 4 days, maybe eventually the water molecules will go through and penetrate this. I don't know. But they don't call this waterproof material. It's a water barrier. Okay? So we'll see. Keep watching and see how this test results come out. I'm very curious myself. Got any guesses how much water we're going to see here in the morning? There you go. I just have to walk gingerly on this because I already slid one time. I got to be careful with that. And I just folded over the edge and then creased it and snipped it with my scissors at the inside corners, then peeled it back and then just cut along the crease. The stuff creases up really nice, and that's how I got it fitting nice and snug. Now I'm not gonna leave this down right this minute. I'm gonna roll this back up, but I've got it all pre-cut now so that I can set it down when I get all done. I'm still gonna do a little water test on the floor right in here, and I've got some squares. I've got some squares here. In here they give you all this information on the home wrap when you purchase it, all the directions and stuff. And then, like I said, you can go Google it, go to tyvekbuildingwrap.com or something, DuPont Tyvek home wrap, and they'll give you directions on the internet how to install it, and they give you all kinds of questions, and you can read all the questions that people have and see what their answers are. But see, I could take this. I don't know why they call this non what do they call this? Non-woven, I think they called that. But it sure looks like it's woven. But you know, there's a reason for everything. So check that out before you buy it. Don't just buy it because I said it's a good product. Know what you're buying, and maybe you decide to get the other stuff for half the cost. Who knows? Now, why didn't I get the other material? It was this other stuff. I forget the exact name, but it was basically like this for about half the cost at the store. But it was called a woven material, so the holes were just a little bit bigger. It does the same thing as this Tyvek home wrap, but this is twice as expensive because it's non-woven. Is there really a difference? You know, they sell that other stuff for half the cost. It basically you can put that on your house too, and you'd have to research the difference between the two on, you know, do you want to spend twice as much or not? And then you can end up doing that too if you want. But this is way better. In the old days, when I was framing and wrapping houses and stuff, we had just craft paper. It was called building paper, or you use asphalt paper, and it's only 3 foot wide. You'd have to staple that up and overlap it and all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't like this stuff. It didn't let your house breathe as good as this. Plus, it was only 3 foot tall. This is 9 feet wide, and way easy to put on. It's very hard to rip this stuff, and you have to put it on a certain way, and on the seams you have to use the right type of tape. They suggest using the Tyvek home wrap tape that you can buy. It looks like a roll, kind of like duct tape, but it's not duct tape. It's this other type of tape. And then it also gives you directions on how to install it, how not to install it, and they tell you if you're going to use this on your house to put the wording side on the outside to help it breathe better than flipping around the other way. I don't know if that's really more so for an advertising gimmick, because when you look at houses wrapped with this stuff, you always see it. Oh, a Tyvek home wrap. Oh, okay, you can use that. Is it really that wrong to put this with the wording on the inside instead of the outside? I don't know, but they tell you to put the wording on the outside for some reason. And you can get all the information about this. Just press in Tyvek home wrap, you know, on the internet, and you can read all about the differences of whether to use this or the other product. It's good stuff. Now here's the name of that other stuff. It was called Everbuilt house wrap, and that was woven house wrap, and that was $87 at Home Depot. This stuff here is Tyvek house wrap, and this was called non-woven house wrap, and it was $165. Both of them are 9 foot by 150 foot rolls. So the other stuff is half the cost. Is it really that? Why the difference of so much? You know, I realize one is woven, one is non-woven. Okay, but couldn't you use Everbuilt house wrap just as well? Well, go and search that, Google that, read all about that, and what makes one so much more than the other. I didn't even know they had Everbuilt house wrap, but that stuff, because it was woven, I don't think for my purposes, I didn't really want to use that as much as thinking, okay, I'm going to spend the extra money and try this non-woven house wrap and see how well it works. I don't, you know, the last thing I want to do is take this flooring back up 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I want this stuff to last for the rest of the time we live in this house, and then some, 20 years at least. And that's why I'm going to go ahead and put it, just to be on the safe side. You know, I'm overextending myself and being overly cautious about this area, but mind you, it's only 8 by 9 foot area, or 7 by 9 foot area, this little deck area. So yeah, I'm spending a little bit of extra time, a little bit of extra money on it, just to see how well it's going to work, and knowing that, hey, I did the best that I could. Once I put these tiles down, that's it. You know, I don't want to be lifting these up later. It's going to be difficult enough to lift those up later and try to mess around with this floor. That's what I'm trying to prevent.